Hello everyone. The content of this video is about telephone system, network system. It mainly explains 4 aspects: an overview of telephone communication systems, an introduction to indoor telephone systems, an overview of computer network systems, and an introduction to indoor network systems. The inventor of the telephone was Alexander Graham Bell. Born in 1847. On the 10th of March 1876. Bell called out through a walkie-talkie, "Mr. Watson, please come over. I want to see you." Watson's assistant in the laboratory heard the call and jumped out of the laboratory like he is crazy, rushing towards Bell's dormitory, where he was shouting. He shouted all the way, "I heard Bell calling me." In this way, humans had the first telephone and opened a brand new chapter in their history of communication. In 1892, telephone lines were opened in New York and Chicago. The inventor of the telephone, Bell, was the first to test his voice, "Hey Chicago." This historic voice was recorded, and over the next 100 years, our telephone and telephone communication technology have developed rapidly. The forms and functions of telephones have continued to evolve. From wired telephones to wireless telephones. From telephone stands to smartphones today. Bringing great convenience and improvement to people's lives and work. All of this is inseparable from human continuous exploration and innovation of technology. The spirit of exploration and innovation consciousness are essential for modern development. We must be brave enough to explore and innovate. Next, let's learn about telephone communication systems. The telephone communication system is a communication method that uses the telecommunications network to transmit real-time two-way voice for conversation. The 3 basic elements include 1. Sending and receiving voice signals. 2. Transmitting voice signals. 3. The exchange of voice signals. Therefore, it consists of 3 main parts: user terminal equipment, transmission system, and telephone exchange equipment. User terminal devices are used to complete the transmission and reception of signals. Common user terminal devices include telephones, fax machines, etc. With the development of communication and switching technologies, various new terminal devices have emerged, such as digital telephones, computer terminals, etc. The telephone transmission system is used to transmit bidirectional voice signals, which can be divided into wired transmission, open line, cable, fiber optic, etc., and wireless transmission, shortwave, microwave relay, satellite communication, etc. According to the transmission medium. From the perspective of building weak current, it is mainly wired transmission. Transmission lines mainly include user lines and trunk lines. The telephone communication system is a collection of various coordinated telecommunications equipment. The simplest system is a dedicated line system, established only between 2 users. If there are 5 telephones to communicate with each other, a dedicated line is needed to connect the 5 telephones to each other. So, what problems will arise when there are more and more phone users making calls? For more complex communication systems, the increasing number of dedicated lines as the number of users increases will bring about a large number of connection problems. To solve this problem, switch-based communication systems have emerged. In communication systems, where multiple users are connected to the switch at the same time, and the switch completes the call connection in real time as needed, forming a communication system with the switch as the core. Telephone exchange equipment is the core of telephone communication systems. By connecting each telephone user terminal to the telephone exchange and converting the lines on the exchange, communication between any two telephones can be achieved. The earliest use of manual telephone exchange was to accept calls manually, control wiring and disconnection manually. The equipment of manual telephone exchange is simple, easy to install, and cost-effective. But the wiring speed of operators is slow, prone to errors, and the labor efficiency is low. Later on, electromechanical exchange and electronic exchange emerged. And in the 1980s, program-controlled digital telephone exchanges began to become popular around the world. Program-controlled communication exchange is carried out according to software programs, which can achieve hundreds of communication functions. The pre-programmed program is stored in the memory of the switching system, and the processor works according to the predetermined program and certain data to generate output signals and control the switching action. Due to the strong professionalism of telephone communication systems, building installation units generally only install piping and wiring for indoor telephone lines, telephone sockets, and junction boxes. The installation, laying, and commissioning of telephones, telephone exchanges, and communication cables are generally carried out by professional installation teams from the telecommunications department. Here we mainly introduce the indoor telephone system. The installation of indoor telephone system mainly includes the installation of indoor junction box, distribution box, telephone line piping, indoor laying of telephone lines, and installation of telephone sockets. For user units without telephone stations, their internal communication cables are directly connected to the local network cables through a junction box and distributed to the unit's internal distribution box through the terminals inside the box. This box is called a handover box. The handover box can be installed openly or secretly. The handover box in the picture is connected to the incoming communication cable and the user wiring to the distribution box. When distributing indoor telephone lines to each floor and room, distribution boxes should be used to facilitate the branching, connection, and installation of distribution terminal boards for cables in vertical and horizontal pipelines on each floor. When concealed, it is also called a niche. A box with fewer pairs of branch telephone cables can also be called a junction box, distribution box, or transit box. The construction process of piping and wiring for indoor telephone systems is the same as that of piping and wiring in electrical lighting engineering. Telephone lines can be threaded through pipes, laid in cable trays, trunking, etc. Piping can be made of plastic pipes, metal pipes, etc. It can be paired openly or secretly. I won't repeat it here. A telephone socket is a socket for transmitting signals, commonly available in 2-core, 4-core, etc. 2-core telephone lines mainly transmit telephone signals. That is current local telephone usage mode. While 4-core telephone lines can transmit data signals. In addition to telephone signals, ordinary household appliances generally use 2-core telephones and 4-core telephone cables, which are mostly used for wiring in modern office systems. 2-core telephone sockets generally use standard RJ32 modules, while 4-core telephone sockets generally use RJ11 modules. A computer network system is a system that uses communication devices and lines to interconnect multiple geographically located and functionally independent computer systems, and uses fully functional network software to achieve resource sharing and information transmission in the network, composed of network hardware system, network software system, transmission medium, etc. The network hardware systems that make up a local area network can be divided into 5 categories: servers, workstations, network switching and interconnection devices, firewalls, and external devices. Network software is divided into network system software and network application software. The transmission medium can be tangible, such as Ethernet cables, coaxial cables, optical fibers, etc. It can also be intangible, such as wireless microwave. From the perspective of building weak current, it is mainly wired transmission. Like telephone communication systems, computer network systems are also highly specialized, and building installation units generally only install indoor network wiring, information sockets, and junction boxes. The general network and telephone can share a weak current junction box. Information sockets are also sockets for transmitting network signals, usually using RJ45 modules. The network and telephone systems also often use integrated cabling, which combines the voice, telephone, and digital computer network signals inside the building, and uses a transmission system. As shown in the figure, the network and telephone cables are transmitted through the main distribution frame in the host room to the network and telephone floor, distribution frames in the cabinets on each floor, and finally the network and telephone signals are transmitted to the indoor information sockets and telephone sockets. Other systems such as television, security, fire protection, and building control are generally wired separately and form their own systems. That is all to this video. Welcome to continue to watch other videos of the Construction Equipment Installation Project course. Thank you.